Hello, this is Ron Climer, and I am with First Real Estate School in Hendersonville, North Carolina. And this is my first video about the pass rate on the North Carolina real estate exam. This is August of 2018. We just got the results yesterday for the July 2018 North Carolina real estate exam. Now in North Carolina, 491 people, real estate license applicants that had been to real estate school, graduated from real estate school, took the exam. And of those 491 applicants, 252 of them passed. Now that's a 51% pass rate. Now you need to understand the North Carolina real estate exam is a two-part exam. There's 100 questions on what they call the general portion or the national portion, and there's 40 questions on what they call the North Carolina section. And this is stuff that's unique to North Carolina. You got to pass both halves, or you're going to be back down there paying $164 to take the exam for the second time. Now last month there was 161 people that took the exam, the two-part exam, for the second time. 18 of those passed. Did you hear me? 11% of the people that paid $164 to go take the exam for the second time passed. I think there might be somebody out there underestimating the North Carolina real estate exam. Don't let that be you, because this is a dead serious exam. Now, last month, July of 2018, there were 37 people that took the national portion of the exam for the second time. That is, they passed the state portion, but they failed the national portion. Out of those 37, 20 of them passed. That's a 62% pass rate. But last month, there were 249 people that took the North Carolina only section for the second time at $164. 142 of those passed. That's a 57% pass rate for people taking it for the second, third, fourth, fifth time. So this test is no joke. Now the bad news is, I think a lot of those 491 people that went down there to take it thought it was a joke. They've passed the school exam, so they figure they got the situation under control. Well, 49% of them are back again. So don't underestimate the exam. Let me tell you what I've observed in 30 years of teaching real estate school. Most people seem to want to go take the exam, and they want to study just enough to barely pass the exam. They want to make like a 76 on the exam. My suggestion, study like you want to make 100 on the exam. Because if you strive to make 100 and you miss it by 20 points, they'll still give you a license. If you strive to make a 76 and you miss it by 20 points, you'll be paying $164 to be back down there again. Now here's another tip for you. Read your textbook. There are so many people that think they can pass the exam without reading the textbook. I urge my students to read the textbook before they come to class and or after we cover that chapter, so they've read it at least once. I know that all of the students don't read the textbook. I suggest you read the textbook. I suggest you answer all the questions at the end of the chapter. I suggest you do the 100-question test at the back of the book. I suggest you do the 50-question math test at the back of the book. If it's in the book, you need to know about it. By the way, there's a thing in the textbook called the comments. Comments. It's Appendix A in the back of the textbook that we use. Half the questions on the North Carolina section come right out of the comments. You practically need to memorize those 40 pages. Now, here's another thing I can suggest. The North Carolina real estate exam is 10% math. Well, 10% of 140 questions is 14 math questions. Folks, you have got to be able to do the math. If you can't do the math, you think, well, I can't do the math, but I'm still going to do pretty well. Let's see. You're going to miss 14 questions before you even start, and from there you're going to pass? Not very likely. You've got to be able to do the math. Now, by the way, the math should be the easiest thing because I have all of the math on YouTube, right here on YouTube. You don't have to do a darn thing but put in my name, Ron Climer, put in my name, Ron Climer, and put in North Carolina math, and voila, there's the math. You can sit there and eat popcorn and watch me like TV, or you can follow along like you should, but at any rate, and you can watch it once, you can watch it twice, you can watch it 15 times, and you don't have to raise your hand in front of 20 of your peers and say, gee, Ron, I didn't quite understand that, could you explain it again? Those of us that teach know people don't like to do that, and so you don't have to do that when you're watching it on YouTube. So watch those math videos. Everything that's on the state exam, I have it on YouTube. In fact, if you run across something that I don't have on YouTube, you call me and tell me and I'll put it on YouTube. So now, here's another thing. I have a free practice exam on the internet. Just put in my name, Ron Climer, free practice exam, and voila, here's a 100-question test. Go take that test. Be honest with yourself. If you don't make an 80 on that test, you certainly aren't going to make an 80 on the state exam. You're going to be down there paying $164 a second time. Now, I also have a $10 test at www.ncreexam.com. So you can go take that test, and if you don't pass that test, you sure ain't going to pass the North Carolina real estate exam. The North Carolina real estate exam is probably the toughest real estate exam in America. Now, another thing I would suggest to you is explore the internet and look for other tools. We sell this book in our class. It's called The Guide to Passing the AMP, that's the people that give the exam, real estate exam. This is published by Dearborn, the same people that publish your textbook. It is 1,000 questions. It's a condensed version of your textbook. We highly recommend it. We also sell this book. This is done by one of our competitors over in the other end of the state, some guys called 3 Wise Teachers. You can Google them, that's 3, the number 3, Wise Teachers. And it's about the simplest explanation of the math that I've seen. We sell that. Now here's another thing that we sell, and we sell quite a few of these, and it's a little thing called Hiking the Real Estate Trail, and it's CDs for your car. Of course, if you got a brand new car, you probably don't have a CD player, but if you got an old clunker, you probably do. And if you can afford a new car, you can afford to take the state exam 2 or 3 times. But now here's another thing I want to suggest to you. I want you to stay in touch with your classmates. You know, you go to school, you got 20, 30, 40, 50 people in class. They all got the same problem you got. They all want to pass. They want to pass as easily and quickly and effortlessly as possible. Well, get together and form study groups with them. Get their contact information. Get a round-robin email going in the class. And by the way, I've got an article online. I don't have the link to it, but the name of the article is Let Me Tell You About the Trick Questions. Google that by Ron Climer and read that article, and it'll tell you another reason why you need to stay in touch with your classmates. But here's what I want you to do. I want you to pass the North Carolina real estate exam the first time. At $164 a pop, my budget wouldn't allow me to fail it too many times. So I want you to pass it the first time, and you are not going to do it with mediocre study habits. You need to get down and say, I'm going to make 100 on this North Carolina real estate exam. If there's anything you don't understand, you put your hand up and ask your instructor in class. If there's any math you don't understand, you watch my video 10 times if you need to. But pass this thing the first time. I'm Ron Climer at First Real Estate School in Hendersonville. Now, would you please leave a comment. Leave a comment down here. And if you just can't bring yourself to leave a comment of whether this did you any good or not, would you click like if you liked it? And you might want to share it with your classmates that you have their email addresses and so on. Thanks.